Yeah, and I was actually confused because I saw the Insta story in real time when she posted it on her Insta story. And I'm like, why is she posting that? She doesn't, like, it threw.
The decision to have surgery. I had surgery on December 18th, 2023. To find out, obviously, at 41 years old, pretty healthy guy, that I did have cancer.
The basketball world is straight up in shock. New footage just leaked showing Dwyane Wade and Vanessa Bryant caught in an intimate moment, and fans can't believe their eyes. Instead of clearing the air or even dropping a quick apology, Vanessa did the complete opposite. She doubled down. Her reaction wasn't just bold, it was flat out daring, like she wanted all the smoke.
Is it harder for you to sit down and have a conversation and to tell her that something had happened outside the relationship, or losing the finals?
Way harder to have a conversation with my now wife.
Right.
The clip came out of nowhere. No build-up, no context. Just Wade looking shaken, emotional, and way too close with Vanessa Bryant, Kobe's widow and a woman forever seen as a symbol of strength, loss, and power in celebrity culture. The second that footage hit the internet, chaos took over. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, even TMZ, every platform lit up like wildfire. Fans were dropping takes left and right. The backlash was messy, and the speculation went into overdrive. Some people even dared to call the moment beautiful, while others said it felt like a betrayal that nobody was ready for. Others weren't so kind. They called it flat-out disrespectful. But the loudest voices online weren't just whispering. They were screaming, betrayal.
Adults in this space.
Right.
This is a young kid.
Right.
Who has already got a negative impact next to his name.
Right.
And he hasn't even had a chance to.
And let's be real, this wasn't just some random clip floating around. It looked like it was filmed inside a quiet, dimly lit wellness retreat, a place meant for healing, not headlines. Yet, the camera caught a moment so raw, so emotionally charged, it sent fans spiraling with wild theories about what's really happening between the retired NBA icon and the most private widow in all of sports history. And here's the twist. This wasn't their first run-in. That viral clip, just one chapter in a series of increasingly public encounters between Wade and Vanessa. The type of encounters mainstream outlets pretend don't exist, but we're laying it all out right here. To really grasp why this moment feels like a bomb dropping, we gotta rewind. Back in 2023, Wade faced a terrifying health scare that nearly cost him his life.
Let's go to Kobe Bryant, right? I go back to Kobe, and a lot of people don't know.
At the Time Out Men's Wellness Retreat, a place designed for vulnerability, he opened up for the very first time about a private surgery. What the doctors found shook him to the core. Cancer, a kidney tumor, and if it hadn't been discovered in time, it could have ended everything. Now here's the kicker. The footage blowing up the internet right now was filmed less than a year after that revelation. And standing right there by his side was none other than Vanessa Bryant.
I'm not lying to you, I cut the TV off when I watched this. Watched Kobe run and grab the ball and celebrate. I was like, so what you gonna do? That was our summer free agency. They were dominating.
This whole situation is raising some serious questions, because not long before this latest drama, Vanessa herself was already at the center of wild, deeply personal rumors. The internet was buzzing with gossip in shady forums and messy tabloids, hinting that she might be pregnant, not just by anyone, but supposedly by a young baller. One gossip site even put it bluntly, calling her linked to a rising star. Vanessa didn't stay quiet. She clapped back hard, posting, "I'm enjoying my summer, not pregnant." She shut it down publicly, but the internet wasn't buying it. Instead of easing up, the backlash got nastier. Fans started saying, "She's supposed to still be mourning. That's Kobe's wife." It turned into a full-blown moral panic, not because anyone had proof, but because people simply couldn't accept her moving forward with her own life. And that's exactly why this new footage with Wade feels like gasoline on the fire. Wade isn't exactly walking around with a squeaky clean story either. On Club Shay Shay, he opened up about one of the darkest chapters of his life, having a child outside his relationship with Gabrielle Union, a bombshell that nearly destroyed their marriage. He called that confession the conversation that almost broke him. And it wasn't just about stepping out, it was about admitting he fathered a whole child with another woman. while Gabrielle found out right as he was heading into the biggest games of his career. You could feel the weight in Wade's words, heavy, raw, almost breaking him in real time. This wasn't the Vanessa the world thought they knew. Nobody expected to ever see her like this again, unguarded, emotional, and openly vulnerable in front of cameras. Then came that footage. The setting? A quiet retreat meant for healing, men and women sharing stories of loss and recovery. But the internet zeroed in on one thing, the way Wade looked at Vanessa. And when she reached out, gently touching his arm as he recalled the darkest moments of his surgery, it wasn't sexual, it wasn't overt, but it was undeniable. The tension, the connection, it was right there for everyone to see. Which begs the question, why Vanessa? Why now? The answer might lie in their shared pain. When Kobe Bryant tragically passed in 2020, Vanessa wasn't just grieving. She was suddenly battling a storm of lawsuits and betrayals. The most shocking? Her very own mother sued her, accusing her of financial betrayal and abandonment. Podcaster Joe Budden even said, "Her own mother suing her? That's chilling." And he pointed out something even darker, the eerie parallels to Kobe's own strained relationship with his parents. Kobe's mom and dad never approved of Vanessa from day one, and after his death, that tension only grew worse. She was left isolated, grieving, stabbed in the back by her own family, and chained to the public's idea that she should mourn in silence forever. So, when Vanessa shows up next to Dwyane Wade, a man still carrying the scars of medical trauma, public shame, and a shaky road to redemption, it's no surprise that something raw and unfiltered might spark between them. But here's the catch. The world isn't ready for it. Wade is still a married man. Vanessa, to millions, will forever be Kobe's widow. And that tiny clip, quiet as it was, triggered a brutal question. What if the world simply refuses to let either of them move on? The backlash was instant. Comment sections exploded with wild accusations, ugly name-calling, and conspiracy theories. Some swore this was nothing but a PR stunt. Others insisted there was more happening behind the scenes at that so-called wellness retreat. And then came the coldest takes of all, claims that Wade was just trading one spotlight for another. Even podcasters couldn't hold back. One host said exactly what many were thinking. Let's call that what it is, control, disguised as loyalty. And what he really meant was clear. Vanessa isn't even allowed to own her own narrative anymore. She's been boxed into being the final chapter of someone else's story, whether she likes it or not. But here's where it gets explosive. Wade is rewriting his story in real time. And now, Vanessa might be doing the same. That's why this footage hit like a lightning bolt. Because in that small, unguarded retreat moment, they weren't just vulnerable with each other, they shattered the myth that fans wanted to keep frozen forever. What the cameras really caught wasn't just a casual moment, it was safety. They were safe with each other, and that kind of intimacy makes the public uneasy. This is a man who, even after retirement, kept grinding, kept giving until his own body forced him to stop and finally put himself first. And Vanessa? She's the one person who knows exactly what it feels like to have the world demand perfection, while you're secretly breaking inside. Here's the part nobody wants to admit. This isn't scandal for scandal's sake. What we're seeing is grief, bonding in real time. Vanessa lost her husband in a tragedy that shook the entire world. Wade stared death in the face with his cancer scare. Both of them lived decades under crushing public pressure. So it's no shock they'd find comfort in someone who truly gets it, even if the rest of the world wants to lock them in roles they never chose. So now the question is, are we witnessing the start of something real? Not tabloid gossip, not cheap headlines, but something genuine, born from loss, tested by pain, and unfolding in quiet defiance of everything society told them they should be. And if that's the case, what comes next? Because the spark is undeniable. And right after it went public, the fallout came fast. Within 24 hours of that viral footage, the internet was split. Team Wade, Team Vanessa, and Team Mind Your Business. But for Gabrielle Union, Wade's wife and Hollywood's sweetheart, her silence spoke louder than words, and the world noticed. No tweets, No slick Instagram shade. Not even a polished "everything is fine" statement from a publicist. Instead, whispers started leaking from behind the scenes, and they were way more chilling. According to a stylist who works with Gabrielle on set, Union was completely blindsided. Off the record, they claimed Gabrielle had no idea Wade's emotional breakdown was even being filmed, let alone that Vanessa Bryant would be sitting in the same retreat circle. She didn't even know the full scope of the event until that footage exploded online, and that's when the unraveling began. Once fans realized Gabrielle had been left in the dark, the internet pounced with sharp questions. Why was Wade opening up to the world but not his own wife? Why was Vanessa, who almost never shows up in public, suddenly appearing in spaces built for emotional intimacy, but staying silent about it? And the biggest question of them all, how long has this been happening? That's when the timeline started looking real suspicious. Let's rewind. March 2024. Wade posted an Instagram carousel from a private Beverly Hills charity gala. The pictures seemed harmless, just donors, execs, and the usual Hollywood mix. But eagle-eyed fans zoomed in and spotted something off. Vanessa Bryant seated only a few tables away, locked in mid-conversation with Wade. No Gabrielle anywhere in sight. The comments blew up with questions Wade never touched, and Vanessa, her own page didn't breathe a word about the event. At first, people brushed it off, until just weeks later, in April, Wade and Vanessa surfaced again. This time, side by side at the grand opening of a youth sports facility in Long Beach. This time, Wade and Vanessa didn't roll in together. They arrived separately. But when the event wrapped, cameras told a different story. Fan-recorded clips caught them leaving within minutes of each other, laughing outside like old friends. And then came the moment that set rumor mills ablaze. A TMZ-linked paparazzo snapped what looked like Wade, placing his hand on Vanessa's lower back, gently guiding her toward a waiting SUV. The photo mysteriously never made it to print, but it was archived. And now it's resurfacing with a whole new meaning. Because just 2 weeks after that sighting, Gabrielle Union dropped a cryptic Instagram post, a black screen with a single caption. The difference between vulnerability and performance is the absence of deception. At the time, fans scratched their heads, but now they're revisiting that post with suspicion. Was she calling out Wade, throwing shade at Vanessa, or revealing that her so-called solid marriage wasn't as solid as everyone thought? One thing is undeniable. The footage didn't just show Wade opening up. It showed him unguarded, connected with someone who wasn't his wife, in a way that felt practiced yet genuine, comfortable, familiar. And that's what's making people squirm. Could Wade and Gabrielle have been living on completely different emotional pages for way longer than anyone realized? And let's not pretend this is out of nowhere. Wade himself has admitted to betraying Gabrielle emotionally in the past. He's talked openly about the guilt, the shame, and the way he pulled back from her to avoid confessing the truth. And that wasn't a decade ago. That was this year on Club Shay Shay. Now, connect the dots. Vanessa Bryant's retreat footage was filmed after that confession aired. Suddenly, everything feels a lot less random, and a lot more intentional. One fan on X didn't hold back, writing, "Dwyane Wade is out here trauma bonding with Vanessa like he didn't just drag Gabrielle through hell for a decade." Another tweet cut even deeper. "I know the world hates seeing women age in public, but the way y'all are cheering on Wade healing with Kobe's widow, while his wife is literally silent? Nah." And that silence, it's not just Gabrielle's that's fueling speculation, it's Vanessa Bryant's. Her refusal to comment may actually be the loudest message of all. She hasn't addressed the Wade rumors, hasn't confirmed or denied anything. But insiders close to the Bryant family say this isn't the first time Vanessa's behavior has made people whisper. Right after Kobe's passing, her own mother dropped a bombshell lawsuit against her. And this wasn't tabloid gossip, it was an emotional landmine. Her own mother suing her? One commentator said in shock. The lawsuit went beyond money. It was about betrayal. Her mother claimed she was owed financial support for raising the Bryant children, and it landed less than a year after Vanessa lost both her husband and daughter. Let that sink in. But that wasn't the only legal storm. Vanessa also clashed with Nike in tense, reportedly hostile negotiations over Kobe's legacy. Rumors swirled that she was planning to walk away completely, cutting ties with Nike to launch an independent Mamba brand in his honor. The drama painted a picture of a woman constantly forced to fight, from family betrayal to billion-dollar business wars, while the world still demanded she grieve in silence. That's the wildest part. This independent streak isn't brand new. Reports say Kobe himself had considered breaking from Nike before his passing. For Vanessa, carrying that torch was more than business. It was risky, controversial, and deeply personal. But it also sent a message. She was done being the silent, grieving widow. No longer just the face of Kobe's empire, she was taking control, rewriting the narrative on her own terms. And that same energy is pulsing through now. Even as her footage with Wade spreads like wildfire, Vanessa isn't hiding. She's showing up at wellness retreats, women's leadership summits, and private conferences, always polished, always calm, but never apologizing. That refusal to play the victim raises the stakes sky high. Because if she and Wade are emotionally linked, even as friends, the public demands it be cleaned up, PR-wrapped, and labeled platonic before they'll calm down. But here's the kicker. If they keep quiet, fans are left to spiral. And nothing drives the internet crazier than not having control over a story they feel entitled to. That's why this saga refuses to fade. Wade and Vanessa aren't giving us answers, only breadcrumbs. Little gestures, lingering looks, moments that feel way too deliberate to dismiss as coincidence. And just when everyone thought it couldn't get more explosive, it did. A mutual friend of both Wade and Vanessa posted, and quickly deleted, a story from a private dinner in Calabasas. The caption? "My two favorite survivors, healing looks good on y'all." The slide showed a long table, candles glowing, wine glasses scattered, and at the far end, two blurry silhouettes that looked almost unmistakably like Dwyane Wade and Vanessa Bryant. Now the question isn't if something is happening, it's how much longer can they keep it under wraps?